Page 45. What scripture? Do we like it? Yeah, 61's kind of cold. But you're in front of the camera? Now, does he take the ball gun off and your coat off? You unzip your coat? You got to get in front of the camera, right? Connor's in your class, right? He has you as a teacher, he said. I saw him at the ball game a while ago. It's hard to make a connection just by looking at the names, right? It's like a couple years ago you had one of Travis Jordan's boys, but you didn't know, didn't make a connection to him. All right, let's sing Power in the Blood, page 45 in the songbook. Would you be free from the burden of sin? There's power in the blood, power in the blood. Would you or evil a victory win? There's wonderful power in the blood. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. Would you be free from your passion and pride? There's power in the blood, power in the blood. Come for a cleansing to Calvary's tide. There's wonderful power in the blood. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. Last verse. Would you do service for Jesus your King? There's power in the blood, power in the blood. Would you live daily his praises to sing? There's wonderful power in the blood. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. Thank you very much. You have a seat. Let's go, Lord, in prayer. David Underwood asked us to pray for Denny Rose's father. I know Denny Rose has met him a few times over one of David's neighbors. His father had a heart cath today, and just to pray for his for a quick recovery. Gary had a heart cath last Friday, and he was doing really well. He was texting back and forth afterwards. I said, well, I get a report. You can go to Pepperoni Grill now. And he said, no, Sagebrush, a steakhouse, Wyoming Steakhouse, Longhorn Steakhouse, I think it was he wanted to go to. He went that day. Anyway, so pray for Denny's father for a good report and good quick recovery. So, anybody else, you got a prayer request? Mark and Sue? Marsha, Tracy still has more tests. Some of them she won't have till November. Marsha was doing well as far as the last report we have. Tracy and Marsha, if you like Texas, if there's any difference in what I'm saying right now. But Marsha I had to wear a heart monitor for a month or so, but she was doing really well. Didn't have any other symptoms or problems. But then Tracy has had continual problems for several years now. But then they found a couple spots on her, maybe on her liver or something, and then they have to do some more tests. But one of the tests is not going to be till November, so just keep her in your prayers. Tracy's not she's okay, but as far as we know, but it's not a life and death situation at this time. This doesn't seem like it. It's just an ongoing issue problem. So
keep reading your prayers up. You keep Patty in your prayers. She's doing. Every time I see her walking doors, I think, man, she's doing good. And people bounce back from cancer and different things, and sometimes, and every time Becky walks in the door, I'm just tickled that she's doing so well. Because her cancer 8 years ago, I can't imagine it's been that long, but it's been about 8 years ago that she had cancer. So. All right, anybody else? Charlie, will you lead us in prayer? We've always pleased the book of Nehemiah. We're in Nehemiah chapter 4. If you have a question or a comment, overhead mics will pick those up. Nehemiah chapter 4. We'll read one verse, verse 6, and then we'll skip down and read some more verses in just a moment. Chapter 4, verse 6. So built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together under the half thereof, for the people had a mind to work. So Nehemiah is bragging on his people here for a moment, because they're building the wall around Jerusalem. They come back from Babylon. They're building the wall for their protection and around the city of Jerusalem. But they got about halfway done. So we built the wall. All the people joined together. The half thereof, like going from the ground up, about halfway done, because for the people who have a mind to work. Now verse 10, because they're going to have opposition. Last week we talked about opposition by ridicule. Chapter 4, the first couple of verses about their enemies ridiculing and making fun of them. So, if a fox go up on the wall to break it down. Look down verse 10. Okay, and Judah said, "The strength of the bearers of burdens is decayed, and there is much rubbish, so that we are not able to build the wall." And our adversaries said, "They shall not know, neither see, till we come in the midst among them and slay them, and cause the work to cease." And it came to pass that when the Jews which dwelt by them came, they said unto us 10 times, "From all places whence ye shall return unto us, they will be upon you." Stop reading right there. We talk about the Nehemiah's got his people together to build the wall around the city of Jerusalem. They're about halfway done, and they have complaints. Not really complaints, but the work is slowing down a little bit. Okay. First thing is that there's rubbish. They can't get rid of the work they can't get the work done because all the rubbish is piled up. And that's what Sanballat, Tobiah, their enemies, had said, "You can't build a wall here because all the trash around." If we went to, I thought about this coming home from work day. Down between Sugar Creek and Chandler's Drive is that place where they pile up all the old stone and stuff that's over on this side of the road where they replace the roads, got big cement slabs and all stuff. When I think about them building the walls, they're going to a pile of something like that that's around the city and say, "We want to build out of that." How many would you want to build something out of that, Moran? That you know what I'm talking about, all the old cement that's down there by the, right there on 21, by the Yeah, you want to build out of that? Anybody want to take all this stuff and say, I'm going to build a house out of that, I'm going to build a wall out of that? Because that's rubbish, really. I mean, you might okay, if you want to put a new driveway in somewhere and this, you want to use, bust up concrete, put a piece of metal in it. That's what they're using to build. They're building the wall around the city out of busted up, because they're building their houses, and their wall has been destroyed. It'd be like if you went to Berlin and saw after the war that the walls were all torn down, or the city had been bombed, or if you went to Portland, Oregon, where the city's been burned down, there's things that's going, we'll build out of the rubbish that is left. Okay, so these people say we're having trouble building because we've got rubbish. They're not making excuses. They're just saying it's hard to build because of the material that we're dealing with here. Okay, that makes sense, right? Then they also have, we read verse 11 and 12, the people lived outside the city, and they're coming in to build the walls around the city because their farms and stuff are outside. They don't have any pasture land, and they have sheep, cattle, and crops. So they have all that outside the city, and their enemies that live around them that have lived there now for 70 years are all saying, we're going to get you. We're going to get 10 times. They said they came to us. They said, we're going to get you. When you go back home, on your way home from work one of these days, we're going to be on the road to get you, okay? And so the Jews are kind of scared to come in to go to work, but they're doing it every day. They end up having, one hand holds a trowel, another hand holds a sword to get the work done. Eventually they get to that point, and half the people work while the other half are standing guard. They just take shifts getting the work done. But they have threats from their enemies because they didn't live in the city. So Nehemiah's hearing all this. Okay, we're working with rubbish, and our enemies want to kill us all every day when we come to work. Okay? So look at chapter 5. We'll read a couple of verses in chapter 5 too. Because this is probably worse. This is probably as bad as the rubbish and as bad as having enemies want to kill you. And there was a great cry of the people and of their wives against the brethren the Jews. For there were that said, we, our sons, and our daughters are many. Therefore, we take up corn for them, that we may eat and live. Some also there were that said, we have mortgaged our lands, vineyards, and houses, that we might buy corn because of the dearth, because nothing was grown for a couple of years. There were also that said, we have borrowed money for the king's tribute, and we've got to pay taxes. We borrowed money for the king's tribute, and that upon our lands and vineyards. And yet now our flesh is as the flesh of our brethren, and our children as their children. And lo, we bring into bondage our sons and our daughters to be servants. And some of our daughters are brought under bondage already. Neither is it in our power to redeem them, for other men have our lands and our vineyards. And Nehemiah said, I was very angry when I heard the cry of these words. So here's the third. They said, we're trying to build out of rubbish. It's not really good to work with. Our enemies want to kill us when we go home at night. We're on our way back home, back to our vineyards, our houses. The enemies want to kill us. We don't know when we'll get attacked. And then, because there hasn't been an abundance of crops the last couple of years, some of us have mortgaged our lands to pay the taxes, because we still have to pay the taxes, even though we don't make any money. We still have to pay the taxes, or we'll lose our money. So we borrowed money to pay the taxes, or we borrowed money to buy corn or buy feed for our children, our families. And now we can't pay that because we don't have any crops to sell to pay for these things. So now we've sold our children into bondage to others. And the worst part is, which Nehemiah got mad about this, we sold our children into bondage to our brothers, the Jews. So these are people that are working. These are laborers that are going out working on the wall every day. They can't pay their bills. They need money. Some of their brethren that have money, that live inside the city of Jerusalem, have money, have now bought their children as slaves or as servants. Okay? That's the worst part of it, as far as Nehemiah said. Okay. When I read through this, how many think, you think the wall's being rubbish? How many think is that a reason or is that an excuse? I mean, is that a reason to slow down your work, or is that an excuse? Is that an excuse? Is it just an excuse to not get your work done? Yeah, it's pretty tough. You're building out of rubbish, okay? Like again, I said, you don't have much tools. You're going to be down there, that rock pile down there below Sugar Creek, and you're going to build a wall out of that stuff. It's going to take some time to get it done. right? Because you got to. I've seen this before. They take brick, they tear the brick down off a house, and used to work with a brick mason guy that did this. He said, then you got to take every brick, you chip all the old mortar off, and set those bricks to the side, and then start all over again. It takes a lot more time than just laying new brick down, put the mortar on, lay new brick down. And he said it just takes forever to do it that way. But if you want to use those old brick, it'd be the same thing as getting that pile of rubbish down there and say we want to build a wall. That's it. So for them to say, we can't go fast to get this done because we're working in the rubbish. To me, it's not an excuse; it's a real reason, right? Okay. Second thing is this: threats from their enemies. That when you're working on the wall together, you might have your brothers, your cousins that help you build. This is our section from this wall to this wall. That's our section we want to build. We can work together and defend each other while we're there. But when it's time to go home at night, we're scared to go home at night because Sanballat and Tobiah and all the enemies around us, which were always enemies of the Jews, and today they're still enemies of the Jews, most of them. We're afraid to go home because they're going to get us on their way home. Okay? So, is that an excuse for not working, or is it a reason? What do you think? Excuse or reason? Charlie? Is that a reason not to work? Was it a reason to say we're cautious? Because they're still coming to work every day. But it's not really like making excuses as to why we, the lazy, Proverb says, a lazy man says, there's a lion without, I'm going to be slain in the street. It sounds like a pretty reasonable concern, right? Okay. Just like Israel had with the Palestinians a few years back, with always, every day they're launching rockets over into Israel trying to kill everybody. Okay. Then read of your brethren, if you have no food, Charlie, you got 3 small children. If you have no food, no way to make money because the crops have failed and nothing's coming in, you're not going to get any money for another year. You still have to pay your taxes on your land. You will lose your land, the tribute money. Okay? You still have to buy food. Okay? And you come to the point where you have to sell your children. Okay? But you're going to sell them to your cousin, right? He's not going to mistreat them. He's not going to, you're not sell them as sex slaves or something like that. He's going to make them servants at his house, right? It's a legitimate concern for the men of Israel, for these people, these men of Judah who are in this situation. Okay? I think about this. I get mad sometimes when I'm talking to people, working with people. People give me excuses as to why they can't do what they're supposed to be doing, right? As a school teacher, Charlie, I'm sure. I think you said by Friday when you left, 50% of your kids have turned in their assignments for the week. Okay, about 50%, right? So there are some we think of as just making excuses. Dog ate my homework again. But the dog is not going to eat the computer now, but they still probably get the same excuse. The dog ate my homework. Okay, overslept. Okay. But I think about this often. Don't ignore the real needs of others. The real hindrances to people's work. I mean, there are now. I'm not going to single out Charlie, but I'm going to use this as an illustration. I'm sure there are kids that don't have Wi-Fi whose parents will not take them to where a bus is at to get the Wi-Fi. I'm sure there's some out there that just cannot get to work. There's no one's going to take them anywhere to get the work done. On a rainy day, or a clear day, they may ride their bike somewhere to get to it. I don't know if that works or not. Okay. There's some people that have a legitimate fear, a justified fear. There's people that live in fear. There's been kids that came to this church before in the past, and I wanted to get their Sunday school teachers or their Wednesday night teachers, or whether we had Awana, the programs we had, different programs we had through the years. I wanted to get their teacher to go to their house because I wanted the teacher to know, because either Tam and I picked them up, or me and Alan picked them up and brought them in. I wanted the teacher to know where the kids came from. You know, we've done that, right? That means there's some kids came here one day that we went to the house years ago. It's probably 20 years ago. Me and Clinton went to the house at Christmas time, and these people had absolutely nothing. Okay, they had a tree up in the, like last year's tree up in the living room, and they had some gifts under the tree. And Clinton, someone said, "Well, just go find out. Put your Dave centers out there to see what the kids needed or if they had anything." And they had a couple of things under the tree that was wrapped up in paper. And we said, "Oh," and Clinton said, or one of us said, "I see you got some stuff under your tree." And they said, "Oh, that's the stuff we already have." Okay. We just we know what it is. Stuff, clothes that we already have or toys we already have. We just wrapped it up, put some wrapping paper around it, and stuck it on the tree, just so we have something to open on Christmas morning. And Clinton was like, "We're going to do something. We've got to do something for them." Okay, which we did. Okay, we don't know. A lot of times people have lame excuses for not getting the work done. I don't know in my lifetime that I've ever been late for work as a habit. There's been a couple times I'm late, and everybody knows I'm going to be late for a reason. Drop the truck off or whatever. But I don't think I've ever made a habit of being late. But I've worked with people that you never know what time what day they're going to show up. Oh, I forgot it was Monday. Oh, today Monday. You call them at home, and we've had it happen, and they forgot. Okay. There's people that have legitimate fears though of what's going on around them. And some people, just like with the people that lost their money and are selling their kids into this bondage, they have uncontrolled problems or issues that they didn't cause. Just like the rubbish that they're using to build with, those people didn't build it. They didn't cause that rubbish. Those men are out there with trowel and mortar trying to pick up shake the old brick, bust the old mortar off the brick and use it over here to build with. They didn't tear down the walls. They didn't cause that problem. They're in that situation where they're going to do something, but they didn't cause the problems that led up to it. Y'all with me on that? Just like some of the kids. Okay, Charlie, I'm focus on Charlie, I guess, because there's kids that you have in school, or the problems that they have aren't it's their problem to deal with now or deal with the rest of their life, but they didn't cause it. It's the environment they came from or different things. Okay, one of the middle schools in the valley. Last year, there's a big issue, big stink going on around about this middle school, and someone from the board of education, from the school board, what's the elected officials that are the school things? The elected officials are over the schools. It is the board. Okay, someone from the school board said their problem is not the building. Their problem is there's not one 8th grader that can do their 8th grade math. There's not one 8th grader that can do their 8th grade English. There's not that none of them have reached the level that they should be. Most of them cannot read at 8th grade level. They're supposed to read that. You can't blame the building on that. You can't blame the teachers that they have on that. There's something else. There's underlying problems that need to be resolved before you can say, we need to fix this. Well, you need to get those grades up for those kids. Well, that started way back when they were little, right? Okay. So most people have issues. A lot of people have issues. Most issues they didn't cause. They live with those problems. Okay. But I think about Nehemiah. The most valuable people on earth are those who can see the real needs of others and find the solutions, not just point at the problems. Just like the lady from the Board of Education that said, she didn't just say, that's the problem. She said, that's the problem, let's fix it. Okay? And she came up, let's come up with an idea how we can fix this problem. Okay? The people have real hindrances in life, rubbish that they from the past, whether it's something they caused or didn't cause. Be a problem solver, not a complainer. There's people that I've worked with through the years that are just complain about everything. No matter what happens, they're going to complain. All right? Okay. Don't complain. Be a problem solver. Find the answer. Find the solution to the problem. Okay? The people have real fears that they go through in life. Miss Becky's afraid of snakes. I don't know if y'all probably knew this. Miss Becky's afraid of snakes. The worst thing in the world to give her is a rubber snake. Okay? I don't know why. She has this great fear of snakes. But other people doesn't scare them at all. Snakes don't bother them. Oh, that's just a black snake. I've caught them in my garden before, or out in the yard close to the barn, and pick them up with a pitchfork and take them in and put them up underneath the barn, under the hay shed, because to keep the mice down, right? Black snakes. You think, well, John, why would you do that? Because they'll keep the mice down, they'll keep the rats out. Okay, so some people have legitimate fears, and some other people, it's like people with the money problems, that have problems that are beyond their control. I heard someone on the radio talk about this week. There are people that start a business Someone from Israel was on the radio talking about this week, or on TV yesterday, but they played it again on the radio today. A guy started a restaurant. All of his money for years and years was put into starting this restaurant and building this restaurant. So he had a nice restaurant, a good income, wasn't getting rich off of it, but he had income coming. With the COVID thing, it's shut down. People can't go to his restaurant. Nobody's gone to his restaurant since March. And so he has no way to make money because that's the way he made money. He still has the overhead of the building payments or whatever he has for the restaurant, and he's in a pickle. Okay, how do you help that person? Give him a check. Okay, the checks run out, right? The $600 a week extra on the unemployment thing has run out. Whatever, there's a $400 on the unemployment thing now. That eventually, all that money is going to have to, someone's going to pay that eventually, which is going to run out. And there's still people that are staying home. Okay, I can't go to my business. I can't run my business. What do we do? Okay. So the most valuable people in the world are those who I can't just see the problems, but find solutions for the problems. Nehemiah was one of those people that found solutions. Matter of fact, those of us in the room tonight, anybody listening to my voice, whatever problems you face in life or problems you come across that other people have, not that we're supposed to give everything away to fix everyone else's problems, but we ought to try to be the solution to everyone else's problems. That's what Nehemiah did. Okay? And when he heard about Jerusalem, Nehemiah was living as a butler, as a cupbearer to the king. He was probably living in his own room at the palace, and he could have just spent his whole life just bringing the cup and bringing the king's dinner to him, and eating what the king ate. He could have just lived his life and say, "Well, I won't worry about Jerusalem." Okay? He said, "No, there's got to be a fix. I want to be the fix. I want to fix the problem. I want to be the solution." Okay? I thought about this. whatever the problems other people have, if you can, fix it. I'm not saying you just got to take money out of your pocket, give somebody else, or anything like that. But you got to see that people have real problems, and then do everything you can to fix those problems. Okay? What do you call that, Brother John? It's called second mile Christianity. Jesus said, "Whosoever compelleth thee to go a mile, go with him 20." You do twice as much what you have to do, where you can just say, "Well, look at that stupid child. Look at that stupid adult. Look at the mistakes they made. Okay, let's go back to them and say, okay, how can we fix it? Okay, what can we do to help you?" For the last 28 years in my sales job, 26 years in my sales job, I walk into people's offices, and I'm not trying to sell this or this or this or this. I'm not trying to sell something. I'm trying to find out what they need. And what do you need? How can I help you? How can I make your job easier? I texted a guy today. I'm going to try to meet with him tomorrow. And for probably about 18 years now, 18 years ago, I walked into his office and said, "What can I do to help you? How can I help you in your business? What can I do to help you?" And it works up a great friendship because he had needs and I could fill those needs. Oh, well, if I couldn't fix the problem, I went to somebody else and said, "Hey, this guy can fix that problem for you. Let me get you in touch with this guy over here. I can't sell that product, but this guy can. Let me help you with that." Okay. So what's required to do that, Brother John? Wisdom. How you get wisdom? Reading God's word. God has the answers to everybody's problems, everybody in the world. Solution often in Christ is getting people saved, witnessing people. But there's a solution to every problem in the world. I did not watch the political debate last night between the presidential candidate and the candidates. I heard it was a fiasco. I didn't watch. I heard everybody. I did about 6 or 7 hours of driving today, and I heard I heard liberals talk about it. I heard conservatives talk about it. I heard people who have no opinion just talk about it. They just, the people that are kind of like, "Well, this is what happened." Okay. I heard clips from one side playing clips on one candidate, and people side playing clips from another candidate, so you have their point of view. What's the solution to the problem? People gotta have principles to live by. And the solution to most people's problems is, what principles do you live by? what guides you. Be the one with the answers. If you can't find the answers, know who has the answers. They're in this book. Whether it's physical, medical, mental, spiritual, whatever it is, the problems are there that people have. A lot of people bring the rubbish with them that they didn't tear down the wall. They're just dealing with that rubbish. They didn't cause the problem of the famine. They're just living with that famine. Be the solution to those people's problems. Find the answer as best as you know how. Any questions? Comments? How many can see problems in other people? How many can you know the answer to problems? You know the fix? I know the fix to a lot of problems. How many see problems in yourself? You know the fix? I know my fix. Huh? Sometimes. All of our answers are here. Okay? And our problems other people have, a lot of times we can come back and say, hey, I can fix that. I know what to do. A lot of times if I can't fix something, I know who to call. Okay? Someone's baler was down last Saturday. They were baling hay last Saturday. The baler was down. Who'd they call? They called David Underwood. We were baling hay one time out. I think it was out at Mike Blackshire's farm, and preacher's baler went down, and it wasn't working. He said, "I'm going to run and get the manual for the baler." So what he did, he went and picked up David Underwood because David was on the other side of the farm. He said, "Baler ain't working," so he brought him over because David's the manual on fixing square balers, working on tractors and stuff. Okay, find the person. Don't just see the need. The story of Jesus when Jesus came to the woman at the well. Jesus came to the city. The disciples were hungry. They went in to buy food. He sat down at the well at the outside of the city, and the woman came out to draw water, and he knew her need. Of course, he knows everything. But afterwards, so she got saved, and she went in and told everybody else. Now, the other people came out to meet Jesus, and a bunch of them got saved. And then some of them heard him, and then more of them got saved. And Jesus told the disciples, lift up your fields lift up your eyes on the fields, for the fields are white already in harvest. He said, don't wait like 4 months from now we're going to witness, or 4 months from now we're going to harvest this. He said the fields are ready already. Just you got to see the needs of those around you. And that's what the message is tonight. See the needs, not just say, well, what a pity. See the needs, okay, what can we do? Okay? More comments, questions? Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for loving us. Help us be Christians, we ought to be in every area of our life. Help us be a witness for Christ and encouragement to other Christians, whether at school or work or in our neighborhood tomorrow. That help us do that which is right and pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen. Thanks for coming out tonight.